figure out from the homework last night, like, could you tell when you were going to have to do integration by parts more than once?
Yeah.
Yeah, what, how, okay, how did you know? Okay, so if it was an ET combination, okay, were there any other situations where you ended up having to do integration by parts more than once? Okay, anything with an x squared, x cubed, okay? So if it was an x squared, how many times do you have to do it? If it was x cubed, like x to the fourth? Okay, so I'll show you a shortcut for that for today. There is no shortcut around the ET combination, okay? All right, so, but it's only twice. It's not too bad. All right, so the ET combination, it takes 2 cycles to resolve itself. And there is really no way around that. All right, if you, and then what you guys were also pointing out was the PET combination. So if it was a polynomial with something else, okay, so a P and an E or a P and a T, it was a polynomial situation. All right, so polynomials take n cycles to resolve themselves in integration by parts, depending on what the power is. So depending on the n power. So if the power is 2, it takes 2 cycles. If the power is 5, it would take 5 cycles. So thankfully, there is an alternate way for polynomials called tabular integration. So, well, why didn't you just teach us this, before? Because it only works on polynomials. It doesn't work on logs. It doesn't work on any of the other. It only works on polynomials. So you have to learn integration by parts first. And then there is this little sub shortcut, but again, it only works on polynomials. Okay, so let me give you one that would take you 4 cycles to do the long way. So if we were to evaluate the one that was x to the 4th, e to the negative x dx. So normally that's going to take you 4 cycles to finish. Well, let's pretend we're going to get started. All right, so what do we assign as our u? X to the 4th. Okay, and then what do we assign as our everything else, right? So e to the negative x dx. So we get started the same way. So from x to the 4th would be 4x to the 3rd with a dx on it. So that's going to be the first derivative. And then in the other way, I'm going to have an antiderivative, which would be negative e to the negative x. So if I recognize I have to do this multiple times, we're just going to extend this a little bit longer. And we're going to keep going. And down one column, down the left side, we're just going to keep doing derivatives. And on the right side, we're going to keep doing antiderivatives. And we just keep doing that until you get to a derivative of 0. So we're going to do it again. What's the derivative again? 12x squared, also with a, okay? And then what's the antiderivative on the other side? Positive e to the negative x. All right, well, do it again. All right, and if it would take 4 cycles of, the regular way, it's going to take 4 cycles here. And so take the derivative again. 24x with a dx on it. And then the other antiderivative is negative e to the negative x. And then we do it again. Now I get 24 dx. And I get positive e to the negative x. And one more time, because you have to go until you get 0. The derivative of 24 is 0, and the antiderivative was negative e to the negative x. All right. So then how would we get this answer started? So the answer to this would start just like normal, where we would start with this group, right? So we start with that, all right? So we pair up negative x to the 4th e to the negative x. And then if we were doing this normal, what would happen next? Minus, okay? Now, normally we would do minus the integral of that. But we're going to skip that part. And we're going to do minus the pair of those two. Okay, minus the pair of those two. All right, so then that would be 4x to the 3rd e to the negative x. And then a double minus. Why is it double minus? Well, because I have to distribute the minus from the, remember when we did it, we had to end up distributing the minus that was in front to the minus that was in the back. So I've got two negatives now, the one from the first time and the one from the second time. The negatives compound upon each other, and we pair up the next pair. So these two. So that'll be a double negative. But in the double negative, and what do I have circled in my pink? Another negative e. So there's the double negative that comes from the process, and then there's a negative 12x squared e to the negative x. And then a triple negative from the process. And this combination, so 24x e to the negative x, and then a quadruple negative from the process itself, and yet another negative from the pair. So another negative 24 e to the negative x. And at the very end, a plus c. So let's clean up what we have in terms of all the negatives. I started with a negative term. The second term is negative. Now look at the third term. How many total negatives are there? 3. So how many will I end up with? Okay, so that'll be negative. The third term, how many total negatives? Or the fourth term, I mean. 3 still, so that would also be negative. And then the last term, how many negatives? 5, so that would be, so everything is negative. So my answer will be negative x to the 4th e to the negative x minus 4x to the 3rd e to the negative x minus 12x to the 2nd e to the negative x minus 24x e to the negative x minus 24 e to the negative x plus c. So ultimately, what do all of the terms have in common? A negative and an e to the negative x. So let's factor that out. So I have a negative and an e to the negative x. So if I take a negative and an e to the negative x out from everything, I am left with x to the 4th plus 4x to the 3rd plus 12x to the 2nd plus 24x plus 24 and a plus c on the end of all of that. Okay? And this is better than having to do it 4 times in the cycle the other way. Okay, I'm going to do one more of these to help you get in the rhythm of it. Okay, but remind me again, when does this only work? When it starts with a polynomial. If your u choice is a polynomial, this will work. If your u choice is not a polynomial, it will not. Okay, let's try another one. So let's see how this would work if we were working on the integral with bounds this time, going from 0 to pi over 2. of x cubed sine x dx. Okay, and you recognize the polynomial, and you're like, yeah, I can use tabular. They call it tabular because of the table. It makes a table. That's why it gets its name. So we'll get started with our tabular integration. So we will start with the polynomial x to the third and sine of x d of x. And you'll need to do this until the polynomial descends to a value of 0, and then you know you stop. That's the last one. So some people will do all of their derivatives first and then all of their antiderivatives. It doesn't matter to me how you do it. If you like to do it that way, like I just want to get all my derivatives done. So derivative of x cubed, 3x squared. Derivative of 3x squared, 6x. Derivative of 6x, 6. Derivative of 6, 0. So if you just like to do it that way first, so that your brain can just do derivative, 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 that's good. And then the other side, you're going to think antiderivative, 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 antiderivative plus c. And so the antiderivative of sine x is negative cos. The antiderivative of negative cos is negative sine. The antiderivative of negative sine is positive cos. The antiderivative of positive cos is positive sine. And then we'll have a plus c on the end of that. All right, then you start grouping. So you'll have a group, a group, a group, and a group with your plus c. And you'll need to introduce negatives. The more negatives, the farther you go down the list. So my answer will start with the pair negative x cubed cos x. That's the first pair. It was already negative. My green pair has a negative from the process and a negative from the pairing. So I don't know if you want to do this. Maybe sometimes it helps people to do this. In front of my green pair, I'm going to put one negative sign to help them remember. In front of my pinkish pair, I'm going to put a double negative to help me remember. In front of my blue pair, I'll put 3 of them. Just kind of helps me remember how many negatives I have. And so my green pair is going to ultimately end up being positive because of the pairing. So I'll have positive 3x to the second sine x. My pinkish purplish pair has a double negative on the outside, but no negatives in the pairing, so that's going to be positive. And my blue pair has a triple negative on the outside, but no negatives on the inside, which will end up to be negative. So negative 6 sine x, and then I have the plus c on the end. Now there is nothing that's common to the entire process. Sometimes you will see it regrouped so that certain terms come first. So if I rearrange the middle 2 terms and have negative 3x squared cos x and 6x cos x, those two had something in common. And then 3x squared sine x minus 6 sine x, those two have something in common. So all I did really was just rearrange the order of the middle 2 terms. And then you can partially factor them by a group. I could take the cos, I could take a cos x out of that and leave me with negative x cubed plus 6x. And then from the second pairing, the like terms of sine x, I could take that out and be left with 3x squared minus 6, and then have a plus c on the end. All of that to say, I still have bounds. You could. You could. And our bounds were 0 and pi halves. What is the cosine of pi halves? And what's the sine of pi halves? That's 1. All right, so we got to plug in cos of pi halves times the quantity negative pi halves cubed plus 6 times pi halves plus the sine of pi halves, and that would be times 3 times pi halves squared minus 6. So there's plugging in U plus C minus, then you plug in 0. Well, cosine of 0 is 1, and then 0 cubed and 6 times 0, so all that's going to be gone. The sine of 0 is 0, so all of that's going to be gone. So my 0 is going to end up, not because the cosine of 0 was, but the cosine of 0 is 1, but everything else was 0, and then the other side, everything else is 0. The other thing that's going to be 0 is the cosine of pi halves, so that's all going to be gone as well. And the c's. So a whole lot of stuff is 0. The only thing that's not 0 is sine of pi halves, that's 1. And then what's left in the parentheses there. So the final answer is 1 times 3 pi squared over 4 minus 6. You don't really need the 1. Yeah, Jerry.
For vocabulary introduction, we don't have to put dx to be times 2.
Right, we're skipping that step because we're not pairing it across, we're only pairing it down. So yeah, all right, so Jerry's picking up on the fact that the first time I showed you, I was really careful about putting dx, 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 dx all the way down. Those dx's end up being not needed because when you pair across, we're not doing integrals, we're just doing straight pairs. And so the second time I did it, I didn't put any of those there. So they are not needed in the tabular integration process because we never do an integral. Yeah, when you end up having in your final answer, you don't want it there. No, in the work is fine, but in your final answer, no, it would not be a part of it.